Hey guys, Kate here, and welcome back to the Shark Bites podcast.
This is Jamie, me with Kiki.
So, what's our topic today?
I will say long distance relationships, just like ours, no?
Let's talk a little bit about how we met.
We met through your art, through the stuff you created. Back in the day, I really liked the sharks, and your drawings of Shark Tale were really nice. I was honestly looking for a nice shark-based fan fiction, and I found yours.
The funny thing was, I didn't really like you when I first met you, but you already know that. I think lots of people, especially in the furry fandom, have long distance relationships because it's all internet based.
That I think is okay. I mean, technology allows for that, but let's just say that they can be already fragile.
Yeah, I would say, in my experience, that long distance relationships aren't for everybody. Especially if you are someone who needs, physical affirmation, on a consistent basis, you're probably not going to be able to sustain a long distance relationship.
Exactly. I mean, a relationship can't be like for all life be computer based.
A couple things that I think are really hard about long distance relationships in general is you have to have a lot of trust because you're not always with that person. So you have to be able to trust that they're not going to cheat on you or steal from you or whatever.
Indeed.
It's good for building trust, definitely, especially long term.
I mean, if you can trust a person over such a long distance, when you're together, you can trust them with everything.
I agree, yeah. So we met on DeviantArt in, was it 2011?
I think so.
And we were just friends for what, a year and a half maybe?
I think so, yes.
And then I remember saying, we were on chat or something, and I remember saying, I honestly wouldn't mind if you wanted to be my boyfriend or something like that.
That's exactly what you said.
I
Yup.
had previously tried dating other people online, and it just didn't work out because they were lying about who they were, or just, online dating stuff never goes very smoothly.
I know, but I'm no liar.
Yeah, you were the most genuine out of everybody. I'm just trying to get the timeline right. So I think after we had dated for well, we started dating in 2012, I think, and then you came to visit me.
I think so in 2013.
Yeah, in 2013. So we had been dating for a year or so,
Yes,
and then you came to visit me with your mom. How long did you guys stay? Did you stay for 2 weeks? I can't remember.
2 weeks,
Okay.
so that we could spend a weekend together.
What did you think about the first visit?
It was really nice. I was actually looking forward about the one that would come a year later.
I feel obligated to talk about what happened after you visited.
Me too.
So, for those of you who don't know, and I haven't really told a lot of people about this, but I always say that we've been together for 8 years because technically, we still stayed friends, but after you came to visit me, we did break up.
Though that happened it didn't happen right after I came there. It happened around half a year after that, and it was because of external factors. That's another thing to consider. Be careful with your planning and always have some backups. You never know what might happen. Things could get rough, and considering how fragile these kind of relationships are, sometimes fate can throw a stick in the gears.
Well, you have to be okay with that it might not work out. You have to consider, okay, how much time and effort am I going to put into this? And am I okay with
True.
if it doesn't work out? So we got back together in 2018. Or it was like shortly before I graduated, actually.
School ruins everything.
Yeah, I think that was one of the reasons we broke up is like we were doing our own thing school wise. Like I was going to SIU. When we had dated, like we were both in high school. So like we hadn't started college yet, or I had just started college and I was really busy with that. So I mean that occupied a lot of our time and has. I mean, you're almost done and I am finished now, but I mean, it did take up a lot of our time.
Indeed,
Because back then we were saying, like, oh man, it's going to be like 6 years before we can, like, really, like, come to see each
be
other again.
together.
Yeah, like, to be together. But now it's like, oh yeah, that was 6 years ago. Like, no big deal.
Yes, we were both busy. I think it was mostly stress. At the end of the day, it was mostly stress.
Yeah. But anyway, if you're gonna be in a long distance relationship, like you have to consider these things. Like you're not always gonna physically be around each other. But when you
Yes,
do get to, it's great though. Like it's really fun because
I
you can,
agree.
you've been waiting for so long to see them again, so you plan all this stuff and it's really fun. I think we just both really try to like when we're online, like we try to find as many things as possible to do together because you don't have that physical aspect, so like you have to come up with things. You have to get creative on what you can do. And some of the things that we do together, we play video games together. We've drawn together like on Drawpile and stuff.
True, we played some online games like Uno or played Left 4 Dead. Yes, online games are a really good way to to do things together over a long distance relationship.
Occasionally we role play, and sometimes we also well, we pretty much call each other like every day, so that
True.
helps.
In a way, these helps like making sure we can support each other on a regular basis.
I wouldn't say, like, for me personally, I don't recommend online dating. And the reason I say that is because a lot of people get hurt that way, and it
That's
it can be very risky. I mean, for
true.
us, and even if, like, if I have kids in the future, like, I'm going to tell this to them too, is like, things kind of just worked out for us in the time that we had. Like, back then, the internet was slightly different than it is now.
True. I wasn't looking for anyone really in particular. I guess I just wanted a friend.
Right. So, like, when I know so many people treat long distance relationships as, like, bad, like, oh, it's never gonna work, this isn't even a real relationship, you know,
The people who don't consider them real, in my opinion, are just stupid and closed-minded.
or people that say, like, online friends aren't real friends. I think they are, it's just different. Like, it is different
Yup.
because you can't physically spend time with them.
And even if you could spend the time physically with them, you wouldn't be able to essentially do it in a continuous way.
But I would say, like, to people who are either in a long distance relationship or have considered starting one, just know that, like, it's going to be difficult. It's going to be hard, but if it's meant to be, like, it doesn't matter. Like, you're not going to give up on it, and you shouldn't. I think the only reason you should maybe consider not getting into that is if you can't handle it. Like, if it's so much of a problem that it's affecting other areas in your life and things like that.
Okay, that's something I wholeheartedly agree on. It's something you need to be careful about and be sensible about. you need to be mindful of yourself.
Yeah, it's definitely difficult, and especially if you live in two different countries, which we do,
Yep.
like things get very complicated, especially if you're thinking about like having them move to where you live, like immigration and all that stuff. We've been looking at that for a year, probably, like just researching it. There's a lot of research involved. Um, like you have to financially be able to go and visit each other. It because if you don't go and visit each other, like they probably won't be able to get past immigration because they're very like strict on that and stuff.
True.
But there are a lot of success stories. Like a lot of people are
Indeed.
able to, work things out, work together, get through all of that, and it's rewarding because you've waited so long for this.
Yep. It's something that if it comes to fruition is really worth it.
So to people who think that like online relationships or like long distance relationships are a waste of time, I don't necessarily agree with that, but it is definitely harder than, meeting somebody in your neighborhood or something.
But are there never means impossible?
It can be a lot more rewarding because of that, too.
Yep. Think with your head too, besides your heart.
I would say don't be desperate, too, because being desperate never seems to work out.
Yes, and can be also counterproductive.
Right. Like, don't hurt yourself being desperate for a relationship with somebody because, like, you have so much potential to grow yourself on your own. You don't necessarily have to have a significant other to do that with you.
I think we did a good job today.
Thank you guys so much for listening. We'll see you next time.
See ya!